Thank you very much for joining us on the Photo Flunky Show, episode 130. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about how I prepare for a portrait session. Hi, my name is William Beem, and it's just going to be you and me today. Lee's actually at a training class because she's part of the fitness industry and she's always learning something new about how to be in better shape and help other people get in that shape. But that's not why we're here. We are here to help photographers become better visual storytellers so they can take better photos to share, sell, and remember. I want to let you know that show notes are available at williambeem.com/episode 130. And what you're going to get out of this episode really is what we want to know and prepare for before we go into a portrait session. In other words, you want to understand the purpose of the portrait session. What is your client or subject looking to get out of this? Not just portraits, but how are they going to use them? What does it mean to them? And you want to communicate with the subject about their preparation. So we're going to talk about some of the things that you need to tell them and they need to tell you so that you're both kind of on the same page. And last, what should be obvious, is we want to make sure that you've got the right gear and it works as expected before you show up at the shoot. Let's get started with this. Every portrait session has a reason behind it. Could be a celebration. It could be a business purpose. For example, somebody needs headshot, simply a shot that they're going to put on their badge if they go to work. You want to know, is this a special moment? Is this a turning point in their life? Is this something that they're really looking for more than just your typical portrait shoot? Is it something that's really going to be meaningful? I mean, particularly you think about those life moments and events that happen during weddings and during senior portraits and engagement sessions and other things that they're really commemorating. They want something special from that. So if there's a special moment, they may be looking for more than just your typical headshot or portrait session. And as I mentioned, why do they need them? How are they going to use them? In other words, do they need prints? Do they need to have something at an unusual size? Do they need to have something that's digital? How are they going to use them? Where are they going to share these photos? And of course, you want to think about, do you have a shot list that your customer or client or subject really understands? For example, the reason I'm recording this one, and it came to mind, is because tomorrow I'm going off to do a portrait session with a fitness professional. She is kind of in the process of cutting down before going into a competition. It's the optimal time to show her body, and what she needs are photos of her working out. And her kind of reason for doing this is she's going into bikini competition, but she's got a ton of bikini shots. She's got a ton of the lingerie and that kind of stuff. What she really wants to do is show her working out. And since her job is working as a coach, she needs to be able to demonstrate to her clients that this is what she does. She lives what she teaches. In mind with that, we had some conversations and we traded some photos back and forth to kind of come up with a shot list of things that she's seen in other photos to give ideas about how we're going to set up our photos. That's really where we want to make sure that we understand the reason and the purpose for her photographs and how I'm going to come about coming up with them. Not only, as a matter of, are they going to be headshots? Are they going to be posed? Are they going to be action shots? All of those things can come together, but they support what is her reason. Making sure that we're on the same page. Well, let's start with the basic thing. Where are we going to show up? If we don't know when we're going to be and where we're going to be, we're really going to be in trouble right off the bat. So we've got to make a date. We've got to make sure that each of us has the time, we know where to go, and we have access. And when I talk about access, that also brings up the concept of permission. Do you have permission to be where you're going to go? And who's going to get that permission? It can be either. I mean, the photographer can come up with a location and say, please meet me here. And you've already worked out the details of permission. In the case that I'm going with tomorrow, I'm going to a gym and my client already has the permission to be there. She's already talked to the owner. Everything's good. So we know that we've got access to be there and there's not a problem with our lights. But then you still have to think about what resources do you have at the facility? So is there power there? Or for example, if I want to have a fan, blowing her hair, which I think for these shots I'm probably not going to, but if that's something I need to do, I can't have a cable being dragged across the floor that might trip somebody else because the gym is going to be open and we don't expect it to be crowded, but there are going to be other clients there who are not part of the photo shoot. We've got to think about the safety of other folks around us. So do I need to bring some kind of a portable power in if I want to use that? In this particular case, since I know the location, and there's likely going to be power in different places, but I don't know exactly what I can use. We're still actually working out a couple of the details, and we have a call scheduled later for today to kind of go over this. That actually brings up, what lights am I going to use? And in this case, I know I'm going to go with battery operated lights. I've been kind of switching away from my Elinchrom BRXI lights over towards the Flashpoint or Godox lights, which are battery operated. And that eliminates a lot of cables, a lot of mess, and I can take those anywhere I want to go. So that kind of brings up what we're going to be talking about later with the right gear. But we want to make sure that we are considerate of the people who are around us and yet still have what we need to get the shots that we're going to go to. The other thing that you need to think about is, for the subject, is there going to be a wardrobe idea or concept there? And is it going to change? In this case, she has 4 different outfits that she wants to go through. So I'm kind of lucky in this case. She already knows the wardrobe that she wants. And I've seen some photos, so I kind of have an idea of what we're going to be working with. And it's typically gym attire, and she's in great shape. So it's going to be showing, her muscles and how she's developed over the time that she's been getting ready for this competition. But there are going to be a few different changes, and we want to, for example, she knows that she wants to do a shot with barbells kind of like on her shoulders while she's doing a squat, so she can show off the definition that she has, and her wardrobe is going to complement that. Then she's going to have wardrobe for a couple of other shots. If we do something that's more cardio, then that might have a different look to it. But you need to consider who is going to select the wardrobe, and also who does the makeup. I asked her about this, and this is one of the cases where she's very comfortable doing her own hair and makeup. But what she wasn't aware of is something that I shared with her, that makeup with SPF built into it, which apparently a lot of makeup does have SPF, or at least consumer grade stuff, is not really all that good for a photo shoot. And the simple reason is because it's more reflective. It makes her skin look shiny. In other words, you're going to have hot spots on her skin when the flash goes off if there's SPF in there. So my advice to her was, let's choose some makeup that does not have SPF in it. And if you work with a makeup artist, this is the kind of thing that a good hair and makeup artist is already going to know. But if you're working with someone who's doing their own makeup, then you kind of need to know this yourself so that you can give them tips so that they don't do something that might, just might make a bad shot. And also, since this is a gym kind of shoot, it's not going to be a very dramatic, lots of color on her or anything like that. It's going to be pretty much like foundation or concealer. And she just wants to have a nice, fresh, clean look. And really all I needed to tell her was just make sure we don't have any SPF. We've kind of gone over where we're going to meet, what kind of shots that we want to look at, what kind of wardrobe we're going to have, what kind of makeup we're going to have. And that is really the basis of a lot of your discussion ahead of time. The way you can do some of this, if you don't have a chance to meet up face to face, you can email some photos back and forth. One of the things I like to do is create like a private or secret Pinterest board that you share between you. And then you both put up kind of a mood board. You put up ideas of other shots. So that way you've got a single resource where you can go back and forth. You can leave some comments, and everybody gets to do that kind of on their own schedule. And you just kind of go back and check that a few times before you end up going to the shoot, because you may see something that may trigger another idea. What I really want to emphasize, though, is communication with your subject about what they want, what they're going to wear, and how you're going to show them is really key before you ever show up on site. Clearly, you don't want to show up without the right gear, and you don't want to carry everything you have. I've done that before, and that's a result, honestly, of not planning enough ahead. I don't want to have to lug the whole store in my trunk, unload it, take it in, set it up, and maybe use some of it, maybe not use some of it. My wife, Lee, she loves to say, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I would disagree with that a little bit. I would rather know what I need and just bring what I need. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And this is going to be mostly a rather simple lighting setup. I'm going to do most of my shots probably with a pair of gridded strip boxes, but I'm also bringing a bigger light for a beauty dish or maybe a larger softbox if I need it. But I think the pair of gridded strip boxes is going to do most of what I want to do. I'm also going to bring in a few gels because the photos I've seen of this gym, it's really not an attractive location. I mean, the walls are white, the overhead lighting is fluorescent, and things are just kind of packed in there. It's really just black, white, and gray. I want to add some dynamic tone to it. I want to add some color, and that's where the gels, I think, are going to come in. So not necessarily that I'm gelling my subject, but I might want to gel my background just to give it a little bit of warmth in some cases, a little cool it down in other cases. We'll try a few different things and see what happens. You never know exactly what's going to work until you get there. But We are going to go there with a 3-light setup. I'm going to have a few different modifiers. I'm going to bring some gels. I'm going to bring the fan just in case. I don't know that I'll need it. And of course, I'm going to bring a reflector because typically I like having a little bit of a fill underneath, and I don't always want to put a softbox down there. The other thing is, you might want to think about, do you want to tether your camera to your computer? And that's kind of another hassle in itself. You bring a tripod, and I've got a nice little tether table set up from Tether Tools. And I found that it's really good though, because looking on the back of the screen, it is very easy to miss something. And it's also a bit of a pain trying to walk over with your camera and show it to your subject and say, oh, do you like this or do you not like that? What I find is I have a much better collaboration with my subject if I bring my laptop, I tether to it, and then we look at things on a larger screen. And that way everybody sees what's going on. If something's out of focus, which sometimes you don't see on your little LCD on the back of the camera, you can zoom into details. You can see, maybe we should throw some color in here. You can get ideas from tethering. I think in cases where you can, it's a good idea to do it. And finally, one of the things I'm going to do tonight before I show up is I'm going to try out a few ideas. I've worked with gels on a few things. I want to try a few other ideas and color combinations to see how they go, which means I'm actually going to get my daughter to stand in so I can see how these gels look if I shoot on her hair or if I shoot something on the background. I've kind of got a few ideas of more or less not so much lighting my subject, but how I'm going to light the background and maybe blast a few things out and maybe darken some things down and then just control the light completely with the color gels. And those are ideas that you want to test before you get on site. Once I get on site, I want to know what I'm doing. I want to make sure that I walk in there and say, show me the scenes where we're going to be. I'll be able to look at them, evaluate them, and say, okay, I'm going to light this from here and here and here. And I'm going to put a little splash of color on that. I'm going to have this light on you, and let's go take our shot. What's our next station? And that way we get in and we get out in a reasonable amount of time rather than dragging the shoot the whole day out. Because keep in mind, after the shoot, you still have to go back home, process your photos, and get them to your subject in a timely manner. In addition to that, the gear that you take is going to matter. It's like, am I going to be going in there with wide angle or telephoto? Typically, when I'm shooting portraits, I do like to go with my 70-200. But since this is in a gym environment, there may be an opportunity. I might take my 24-70 with me. I don't like shooting portraits with wide angle. And because there's distortion, there are sometimes where you do that for an effect. But I've noticed some people that like shooting with their 35mm, and I look at the headshot that they shot with it, and one eye is bigger than the other, and their head is big, and their shoulders are small, and it just brings up a whole lot of stuff that I really don't like, and that's to my taste. So that's why I like going with the long telephoto lens, and I imagine most of our shots are probably going to be that way. But there may be some other portraits that we do. I don't know if there's going to be an interesting wall that we can use for maybe just some pose shots. I know from talking with my subject, she wants essentially workout shots, action shots, but there are going to be probably a couple of pose shots, and we're going to look for those opportunities first, and then she's going to do a workout. And I want to get the pose shots out of the way first so that she's not sweating during the pose shots unless we want that for a look later on. But those are the kind of things that we want to talk about and discuss before we get there. And that's how I like to prepare for a photo shoot, is not only what are the shots we want to get, what is the best order to go through them, because her body's going to go through some changes as we do this, because she is literally going to be lifting weights. She's going to be working out. That's going to cause her to sweat. It might cause, issues with some makeup. So there are certain shots, you want to get in the bag before you start getting her body heated up and sweating. Let's face it, it's like there is a good look to be had when she's worked out, her muscles are pumped up, and she gets a little bit sweaty. But we want to think about these things in the order that we want to, so we get the best look for each pose or station that we're going to be going to. And those are really the tips that I wanted to share with you. Is like, what you want to think about is understanding your purpose, understanding that you're on the same page as your subject, and then making sure you've got the right gear to make it happen. Because if you've got those first two right, and you really know what you're going to be doing and the wardrobe that's going to be there, that's going to tell you what kind of gear that you need to bring with you. Okay, I've got one more thing I want to bring up today before we end the show, and that is Peak Design has a new Kickstarter coming out. It actually started on Monday, July 23rd. And what they're doing is bringing out a new travel backpack and some cube storage. Basically, it's a wonderful way to organize your stuff for traveling with all these little cubes. And they've got some for photo gear, they've got some for technology, they've got some for basically like your toiletries and travel kits. So it's a nice mix of things. And I've got some photographs and an article that I'd like to share with you. If you'd like to take a look, it is at williambeem.com/PD travel. So PD like Peak Design. So go to williambeem.com/PD travel, take a look. If you're interested in this stuff, Kickstarter is a wonderful way to do it because you're going to save money on a Kickstarter campaign compared to when the product actually comes out. And if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, what happens is this is how some companies that are creating a product will raise money so that they can do the manufacturing. So you make a pledge based off of what you want. You'll get a discount price. And I'm talking, sometimes close to $100 of a discount or more or less, depending upon what you may want. And then some months later, after they've met their goal, they go into production, then they'll be able to ship it to you and they'll charge you then. They're not charging you anything when you back the Kickstarter plan. All you're doing then is making a pledge that, yes, this is something I will do and something I want to have later on. I'm very happy with Peak Design. I've got the Peak Design Everyday Backpack. I've got the Peak Design Camera Strap. They're really incredibly well thought out products. And I'm looking forward to seeing this when it comes out. I think I've got my eye on what I want to get here. The star of this is going to be the travel backpack, but I think some of the accessories and the travel cubes that go with it are going to be something really interesting. So please go to williambeem.com/PD travel and take a look. Thank you so much for joining us on the Photo Flunky Show. I hope you enjoyed this, have found it helpful. And please, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on iTunes. Just go to williambeem.com/iTunes, or if you're listening on your podcast app on your mobile device, go ahead and hit subscribe to us there. You can also find a player at photoflunky.com, so you can listen to this episode, other episodes, and of course you can find links to subscribe there, as well as on Google Play, Stitcher, and Blueberry, and some other sources. But really, we're encouraging you, if you can, subscribe to us on iTunes. It helps us out very much, and you get the show delivered to you for free every week. Thank you so much. Show notes are going to be available at williambeem.com/episode 130. Take care. We'll see you again next week.